We'll start with our invocation thought of the day. So I'll turn it over to Arnie King real quick, who is going to give our thought of the day.
Yeah, thanks, Carly. Hey, everyone. Thanks for being here. I know these are very strange times, and one thing that I wanted to talk about was really just all of the good that does come out of an event like this, and the inspiration that we find from each other. I think for those of us who have spent any time on social media or drove around at all and seen signs, there are a lot of people who are taking advantage of the extra time that they have to go out and help in whatever way they can. They're finding ways to better themselves. They're finding ways to better their community as well. And, you know, I think if you look around, you'll see countless expressions of really, in a way, it's like human energy, you know, that's kind of being redirected because of everything else going on pause. And that's inspiring to see. I've been reading a lot about Humboldt County's experience during the 1919 flu pandemic. And, you know, it hit Humboldt County pretty hard in the spring of 1919. We kind of got hit by the third wave. And, you know, it was, I think, a much scarier time. People were less able to take the precautions and the measures that we're taking today. There was less knowledge about the nature of the disease. It was harder to get communication out. And there was a lot of fear, and that fear, you know, turned into some pretty ugly things, actually, in our county, unfortunately. And I think what's exciting about today is we're not seeing that in our county. We're seeing people come together. We're seeing people be understanding, and we're dialoguing. I know people have different opinions about what should happen, but people are talking about it civilly. And, you know, in history, that wasn't necessarily the case. So I think I'm proud of how our county is responding in these times. And I'm proud that we're all here together and we're keeping the Rotary spirit going over the internet. So thank you, Carly, for keeping this going too.
Oh, and thank you all for rolling with me as I learn through Zoom and all of this happens. So before I get deep into our program, I did want to acknowledge we do have some guests today. So Kathy Flamson, our district governor, is joining us on our call today. There's Kathy.
We had a meeting with all of the district governors in the zone, which is the west coast to about New Mexico, Colorado, that area. And President Mark was on the call, and he is trying to think of a way to have a convention. They're trying to think maybe a virtual convention. He has no idea how that might work, but you know, that was very sad that the convention was canceled, but certainly needed. So that was interesting to hear him talk about possibility of a virtual convention.
Oh, interesting. Oh, and hi, we have Deanna, who will be our program for PG&E later. Thank you for joining us.
Another thing that we just did is Tom Boylan, who's our webmaster, posted on the home page of our web page the meetings that are held virtually, and basically most of them are the Santa Rosa area, but I did post the Garberville meeting, and it would be fun. And to visit another club meeting, just pop in. You can do it from your chair at home and not have to travel, but it would be a way to see meetings in Santa Rosa and Valley of the Moon and Garberville. Garberville's on there. And just pop in and say hi. It's another way to connect with each other. And
that's very cool.
Share your face with them.
And then we also have our assistant DG, Mary Crumley, here today. Many of you will have probably remembered I announced that Mary was actually in quarantine down in Oakland not too long ago after being on a cruise. So I'm glad to see Mary is back home and sheltering in place in what I'm sure is much more comfortable setting. Okay, so I will share my PowerPoint screen again, and we'll get right into it. Okay, can everyone see that? Nod heads?
Yep.
Yeah, all right, looking good. Okay, so I was gonna play a version of the national anthem today instead of the pledge that I find very inspiring, but my video doesn't want to share. But next time, maybe you'll get to see Whitney's rendition of our national anthem, which was quite something to behold. All right, an update on Carlton. For those of you who haven't heard, Carlton went into surgery last week for a liver transplant. It was an 11-hour surgery. I got word last week that the surgery went well, everything was progressing, and he had been moved out of ICU into his own room. Michelle still couldn't visit him because the hospital is on lockdown because of the coronavirus, so guests are not allowed. And then I did get an update right before the meeting from Greg Gardner that Carlton is back in ICU. We don't know what that means or what caused it, but definitely a good time to be thinking of Carlton, keeping him in your thoughts. He's definitely still working through this, and we are gonna hope and pray that he comes out well on the other side. So please keep him in your thoughts. I was going to give an update on Mary being out of quarantine, but she joined the call, so you all already know that. Is Sandy on the call? I didn't see her join.
No, Sandy told me that she has too much homework and she's going to catch up on that.
Okay, well, good for Sandy, and hopefully we can hear from her next time around. I said this last week, but I did want to bring up some more district and actually Rotary International events that are canceled to make sure everyone is aware. Rotary District Training Assembly that was scheduled for March 21st was postponed, as well as our district conference and Rotary International. So I don't know what, if any of that might be able to be rescheduled. I think I definitely heard the training assembly was hopefully going to be postponed for another time. So as soon as we have more information, I will update you all on that. RILA was one I hadn't heard of, but did get confirmation that has been canceled for this year, which makes sense with all the social distancing in place. A camp setting is not ideal for that. Something that we are trying to make happen in these crazy times is a blood drive in honor of Carlton, since he has been in and out of the hospital so frequently in the last several months. He's required several blood transfusions himself. So we are all going to try and get out in our own way to the blood bank to give blood. This was a rough year already for the blood bank. They were low on supply before the pandemic hit. And now their volunteer donors are coming fewer and fewer as more and more people are sheltering in place. So those who are able to make it out to donate, it's still very much encouraged. Just make sure you are not feeling sick yourself, you haven't been in contact with anyone who's feeling sick, you don't suffer from a compromised immune system or are in any of the other at-risk categories. But we would love to be able to help the blood bank as they work through these tough times with all of us. And some very exciting news that I was hoping to do in person, but we're rolling with the punches. Michael Holland is our newest member. He was approved by the board and approved by membership to join the Rotary Club of Eureka. Big applause for Michael Holland. Michael is a retired dentist. Many of you have probably met him. He's been coming to meetings with his sponsor, Bruce Rupp. I will do a more formal induction of Michael once we're able to meet again. I'll make you all stand up and give him the official Rotary Club of Eureka welcome. But I did want to acknowledge our newest member, Michael. He has joined us here on the call today, as well as his sponsor, Bruce. I don't know if either of you want to say a few words at this time. I won't force you since I didn't arrange it ahead of time. No? Okay. I'm seeing Bruce shake his head. And I think Michael, I saw, was busy with something, but we're really excited to have Michael as a part of the club. And once we're all together in person, we'll get to hear a lot more from him as he joins the club and goes through all the things that a Red Badger gets to do. So welcome, Michael. All right, another, a chat. Okay, another piece of business. We have scholarships coming up, and I know I saw Fred on the line. I will go through with just a quick update, but he can chime in if I'm missing anything or getting anything wrong. Rotary Club of Eureka has several different scholarships we do for youth, and all of them are coming up because it is that time of year. It's also a very challenging year for many of these seniors, you know, graduating seniors who no longer get to go to their own prom, get to graduate in many cases, and don't get to be with their friends. So we want to make sure we can support them as best we can. I will go through really quickly all the scholarships, and hopefully I remember all of them. We have the Wolford and the Heggie scholarships, 2 separate scholarships that go to help graduate students. We have the Scott Guild Scholarship, which is for students going into accounting or CPA practices. We have the Harvey Harper Scholarship, which goes to help any graduating senior at Eureka High School who is going into the automotive field. And we also have scholarship at CR as well as Eureka High School. So all told, several scholarships to help the youth in our community. Fred Van Fleck has been the coordinator of our scholarship committee for several years and is quite the expert at it, and is looking for people to help him through this process, and a process that's going to look very different than it has in past years. So the one encouraging or easy piece is that normally all of these scholarship applications come in digital format anyways. So the first step for many of these is going to be the committee reviewing applications. And for a couple of these, that might be sufficient. You know, the ones specific to the automotive field and accounting typically have fewer applicants because they are so specific. But some of the larger ones we might then want to look at and see if we need to schedule some virtual interviews. And for each of those, we're hoping to have 3 to 5 people help review that for the committee and decide on which applicants we think should receive scholarships. So I think that is well covered. I will send it out in my follow-up email, but if you are willing to be a part of that committee, please let us know. Now is a great time to help out, and this is one thing we can still do as a club to help those in our community. All right, please ignore my husband in the background. And I see that Arnie King brought his wife as a guest to our virtual Rotary meeting. Hello, Jessica.
Hi.
Okay. All right. Moving along. Rotary minutes. So, Kim Baradell, are you unmuted and ready to speak? Let me find Kim.
Let's see. Do you hear me now?
I do hear you, yes.
Okay, then I'm not muted. I'm not dumb either. Anyway, today's Rotary Minute, continuing our attempts to educate the club on early club history, which will go on for the next several years leading up to our centennial, that I wanted to tell you about briefly about 2 other organizations that existed in Humboldt County, in Eureka, and particularly in 1923, before our club got started. And both of them, I'm sure, had some influence in the beginning of our club. Put the other one up, Carly. I'm going to talk about the other one first. This one here. This is an organization that even the Humboldt Historical Society is not particularly aware of. When I first asked them about this, they had never heard of it. And so this is ultimately going to require a lot more research. But the name of the organization was the Humboldt Club. And it was located as early as 1902, according to the Polk directories, and lasted into the 1940s. And it was located at 533 3rd Street. And you can see towards the lower right, you can see 531. So I assume 533 is upstairs in one of these upper offices here. Wherever they met, it was big enough that at times they had as many as 250 members in the county. In this organization, according to what I was able to find, that the club is assisting in the upbuilding of the community and would always be in the front ranks of local progressive organizations. And in the past, it has been very actively identified with the business and social welfare of the community. So to some extent, this organization was a little bit like a forerunner of the Rotary Club and the principles that we live by today. In 1921-22, this organization partnered with the Eureka Inn to raise money. And to accomplish the building of the Eureka Inn, for those who don't know, the organizers of that made this a community development, and they sold stock shares to raise the money to build the inn, and they had a local board of directors. But from the Humboldt Club, I found that in 1921-22, part of the group that was planning to raise $25,000 over a several-day period for the inn, and in fact, they were able to raise $8,000 from 54 people in less than 3 hours on the 17th of January, 1922. But of this group, a number were charter members of the Rotary Club of Eureka, specifically H.A. Graham, Christy Palmtag, and James Hutchinson. And in addition to them, there were a number of other people who later became members of our club, such as Harvey M. Harper, John Atkinson, A.W. Haverman, Aaron B. Smith, Charles Duck, Herb Kramer, Maurice Schmieder, James Carroll, and Leo Liebenbaum. And so how many members there actually existed in that sort of 1921 to 23 period, I don't know, but one reference in there I had that they had about 250 members at one time. So that's one relationship to our club that also helped get the inn built, because that's where we met for about 80 years. Our first 80 years, that was our official home. And so when you start looking at the stock company for the Eureka Inn, we find that of their original board of directors, 13 of those people were charter members of our club. And that includes L.B. Campton, who's Bert Campton's grandfather, Jack Crothers, Harry B. Daly, no relationship to the Dalys of the Daly Brother Department Store, Tom Dillon, H.A. Graham again, Tom Hine, James Hutchinson, Warren F. Innes, Silas Morrison, Christy Palmtag, Louis Persky, William Veter, whose son Lynn created the Humboldt Area Foundation, and Richie Woods, who later became the first president of our club. In addition to these people, there were probably another 20 or so that were not charter members that eventually joined our club out of the original board and stockholder list that I've been able to find. So we had a tight relationship to the Eureka Inn as well as to this Humboldt Club. This is probably where many of our charter members first got to know each other. And when the opportunity came in 1923 for us to form our club, the core was there because they already had the fellowship. They already had the ideal to support our community and to do good things within the community. And it was just one more step in the process of us becoming a Rotary Club by these relationships that had been developed in the early 1920s. So the story shall continue in a few weeks after I arrange time with Carly.
All right. Thank you, Kim. That was wonderful. All right. Yes. Virtual applause. Okay. Moving on. Quickly before I get into recognitions, I did see a couple more guests joined us. Ken Singleton, who is president of Southwest Eureka Rotary, or Rotary Club of Southwest Eureka, joined us. So hello, Ken. I don't know if I missed any other guests. If I did, just raise your hand. Going on in member birthdays, Arnie's is coming up this weekend, as well as Charlie Bestman's. And then Mike and Patrick both have birthdays coming up as well. That's only the first half of April. Hopefully everyone can find a fun way to celebrate while still sheltering in place and being safe. Member wedding anniversaries, John Winsler's is actually today. And then Blaine and Anthony also have anniversaries coming up later this month. Okay, I'm gonna try sharing a screen real quick one more time and see if this will work. One of our own members, Jesse Clare, recently got some very good PR for things that he has been doing. Let's see. While everyone is sheltering in place. Can everyone hear that? No? All right. Okay, hold on. I didn't hit a setting right. I'm gonna stop share and do it one more time. We're all learning. Please be patient with me. All right, I got the setting.
Whether it's food, packages, or fuel, truck drivers are essential. What's also essential is food. And amid the COVID-19 outbreak, it's getting more difficult for truck drivers to get a bite to eat while on the go.
Walk in and grab our food and leave, that's fine, but a lot of places, they won't even let you go in the lobby.
That's because restaurants are following state and local guidelines to help prevent the spread of the coronavirus.
Any delivery person that's out on the road right now, if they don't bring lunch with them, it's becoming a harder issue to try to find somewhere to go to eat.
Some restaurants are trying to make it easier.
It is making it nice having some restaurants letting us order in and bring it out to us.
Have an amazing day.
And that's exactly what McDonald's franchise owner Jesse Clare is doing.
And we wanted to make sure that they were taken care of during this time.
And during this time, truck drivers are putting in a lot of hours.
They are working long hours. You know, the truckers would usually drive up to about 11 hours.
With barely enough time to eat.
I have a nuisance, you know. Everybody's trying, you know. Everybody's trying to do their best.
That little act of kindness is resonating with truck drivers.
I mean, I've never had this happen to me before, so yeah, I appreciate it.
We really do appreciate everybody helping out, like letting us phone in an order and bringing it out to us, and it does mean a lot.
It also means a lot to Claire and fellow restaurateurs.
I'm pretty sure there's other restaurants that are doing the same for our truck drivers, you know, so let's make sure that we take care of them.
In Eureka.
All right, so if anyone sees Jesse anytime soon, give him a big congratulations and job well done for everything he's doing to help in what is a very crazy time. Okay. Resuming our slideshow. Eureka Natural Foods, our own Rick Littlefields company, is also now offering curbside pickup to try and make life a little easier for everyone dealing with shelter in place and all that that means. Caitlin Rose Grunbaum, one of our newer members this year, had to celebrate her 4-year-old's birthday while sheltering in place. So congratulations to Zelia Rose, and hopefully they can have a big birthday party next year. One other piece, I got a message from Sophia Pereira, our own member, who apologizes. She hasn't been able to participate in Rotary meetings for the last few weeks. She works for Humboldt County OES and has been very busy. One of the things she helped coordinate was this distribution of 30,000 pieces of protective gear for first responders in our county. So job well done, Sophia. All right, that is it for me. So I am going to hand things off to our program for today, Deanna, so she can tell us a little bit about what PG&E has going on.
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Deanna Contreras. I'm the PG&E spokesperson for the North Bay and the North Coast. I was meant to be there in person in Eureka for this Rotary meeting today. It's been scheduled for many, many months, and I didn't really want to cancel it, so here I am doing the virtual meeting. So when I was scheduling this with Matt, he said that you guys basically there's a lot of things happening with PG&E right now. I mean, I could sit here and talk to you for 3 hours about what's going on with PG&E, but he said you wanted me to focus on public safety power shutoffs, and then obviously what we're doing with the COVID-19 pandemic and how it impacts customers. So first of all, let me start with that. We're obviously following World Health Organization's shelter in place. Non-essential employees like me are working from home. We do still have field crews that are out doing restoration and wildfire work, important wildfire safety work. So you might see field crews out there. Obviously, we're doing everything we can to keep the power on and the gas flowing during this challenging time while everybody's at home. So trying to say. And then PG&E is doing a lot financially to support customers because a lot of people aren't working and there's a lot of financial stress that's happening right now. So we're not shutting off anybody's accounts for non-payment. We put a moratorium on any shutoffs. We are extending a lot of the low-income programs. For example, payment plans. We've expanded the payment plans. If customers are interested in flexible payment plans, we're offering that. You just call the 1-800 number, 1-800-PGE-5000. And, we also, basically, we donated 1 million masks to Cal OES, and they're distributing those masks to hospitals and those who need it. And we've shored up $1 million for local nonprofits who are helping respond to the pandemic. So a lot of things that PG&E is doing right now. The last thing is any work that was planned that involves a power outage, a planned power outage is what we call it. For example, if we were set to replace a pole or to replace a line, it's been canceled in all of the counties where there's a shelter in place. As those counties increased, and now it became the whole entire state that's shelter in place. So those projects have been canceled with the exception of important wildfire safety work because we are getting closer to wildfire season, and we have been in contact with Cal OES and the state, the CPUC. In these jobs, there are some wildfire safety jobs that are happening in southern Humboldt County, like Garberville and Laytonville area. I don't believe there are any in Eureka, but those jobs are still happening, and we're obviously trying to minimize impacts to customers as much as we can during all of this work. So any questions about COVID-19 and PG&E before I move on? No? Okay.
I think we're
anyways,
good.
Huh?
I think you're good to go ahead.
Okay, and then I don't know, is Matt Owen is the one that scheduled this meeting with me, booked me for this presentation. Is he on? I don't see him on. But
I didn't see him join.
Yeah. He wanted me to talk about PSPS, but I'm not quite sure what he wants me to say. I mean, obviously, everybody knows what public safety power shutoff is. Humboldt was impacted numerous times. it is a tool that PG&E has in our toolbox to reduce wildfire risks, given.
We're outside.
I'm sorry?
Oh, I think that might be some background noise.
Okay. So the other things that we're doing is we're doing, increased vegetation management that meets or exceeds the state guidelines when it comes to trimming the trees. We call the tree trimming program vegetation management. We either remove or trim trees that have that could fall into power lines, and then we also keep state clearances all year round, mandated clearances all year round, which is 4 feet around the power lines. And in some cases, to keep that 4-foot clearance all year round, we have to trim to 12 to 15 feet. And then in cases where there's a high fire threat area, the CPUC had deemed certain areas along the North Coast high fire threat districts. And in those districts, we're doing even more. We're addressing overhanging limbs and branches, and we're removing trees that historically fail. Eucalyptus trees comes to mind for one. So that's kind of our enhanced vegetation management. And then we're strengthening and hardening the system, meaning steel poles instead of wooden poles, thicker lines that are stronger when trees fall into what we call it tree wire. And all of that system hardening brings me to public safety power shutoff. So more system hardening we do, the less impacts of a public safety power shutoff for Humboldt County customers. And the system hardening also includes installing devices on the line, technology on the line where we can to where we're not impacting certain customers here who are not in a fire threat area. So as you probably know, when there's severe fire weather coming, our PG&E meteorologists take a look at wind gusts, we take a look at dry conditions, we take a look at if it's a red flag warning day, take a look at numerous things from all of our weather cameras and weather stations that we have. There's a lot in Humboldt County. And they decide if a public safety power shutoff is warranted given on the fire threat based on those conditions. And if we do have to shut off the power for safety, obviously we notify those customers, and we've had a lot of conversations with cities and counties all across PG&E service territory about, what we did wrong and what we did right, what we can do better for this coming wildfire season, because public safety power shutoff is still a tool that we have. It's not going away. It's we are doing a lot though to mitigate the impacts this year. So hopefully we won't make those same mistakes that we made last year when it comes to impacting a lot of customers and lack of communication, and just hopefully that will be improved this year. And we're really working hard on that by doing what I said, definitely hardening the system, installing technology on the line to help reduce the impacts of a public safety power shutoff. And the number one thing though for Humboldt County is sometimes the fire threat was not in Humboldt County, but we had to shut off the power anyways because you receive your power from lines further on up the road that are in the high fire threat. And so Humboldt County was impacted. There was one public safety shutoff day where Southern Humboldt County was in the fire threat, so they would have been impacted anyway, but the rest of Humboldt County was impacted, and it shouldn't have been. And we recognize that the whole entire county should not have been impacted in those cases. And so one of the top priorities is using the generating station that you have there to help power the county the next time. Basically, we're islanding, we would call it islanding the Humboldt Bay generating station to serve the county in these times, during these exact examples where there's a fire threat, and it'll help prevent having the whole entire county shut off. So that's a high priority for the company right now. We've had 2 top executives come either come to Eureka or speak with local county officials on the process of islanding the generating station in the process of this big project. You know, we've made commitments to the sheriff and to the county government that, you know, we will keep in close communication with the efforts of the project and the progress of the project. So that's the biggest thing for you guys right now in Humboldt County.
Can I ask a question? Do you have an estimate of when that might be accomplished, when that will be done?
Yeah, sure. A really good question. Right now we have the summer as the date for all of this to happen. There's a lot that needs to happen. A lot of testing, and we were granted permits for the testing back in December, so that has started, but there's programming and other controls that need to happen, but the goal is for the summer.
Nice. Do we have any other questions for Deanna?
There are no power outages in Humboldt County right now, I can see.
Yay! I know that's encouraging as we are all sheltering at home. I'm sure it's very much appreciated.
Yeah, so the crews are working overtime to keep it that way.
Wonderful.
Just a couple things about, you know, as we're all at home, we're using more energy than we normally would use during the day. I highly recommend you have an online PG&E account if you don't have one already. pge.com/myaccount is where you would find it if you have one. You can just sign up for one because it'll show you hour by hour how much energy you're using, which that's the first step to reducing your bill, right? It's knowing how much you use and when you use it and what's being used. So I know we're all, you know, using a lot more energy right now during the day with working from home and doing everything at home right now. So check your plan, check to see what plan you have. Also is a good tip, because there's several different types of plans you can be on. The CARE plan is for income qualified customers. It is an underutilized program. You get a reduced rate. We estimate there are about 5,000 customers in Humboldt County who could be on the plan, who qualify for the plan, but who have not applied and who are not taking advantage of the plan. So definitely look into CARE, C-A-R-E, for a reduced rate.
All right. That's all very good info. I know I am thinking a lot more about turning my lights off after me since I'm here all day. So thank you for that. All right, unless, do we have any more questions? All right, I think we are good. So a big round of applause, even if you can't hear it, for Deanna and her wonderful program. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. I know it is busy and stressful for everyone. Thanks. All right. So everyone, we've come to the end of our Rotary meeting. I don't know if anyone has any updates they want to give before we sign off. All right, just a big hello to everyone. Let's see, I did have someone share a joke with me since we all need a little more levity in our life. I will end our meeting by saying something I saw online, which is back in the day, there was so much toilet paper that people used to literally string it up in the trees of their enemies. So we can all think about that as we go on with our day. All right. Thanks, everyone. And I will see you next week.